I've made videos promoting journalist Mathew Russell Lee, and now he really needs our help. Once again, I suggest you subscribe to his channel and sign his petition because he's being treated unfairly at the UN. He's trying to cover stories and expose corruption at the UN, and they're retaliating against him. And the way other journalists have been behaving is disgusting. And he goes in to try to cover it, and they then retaliate against him. And then they use that as a pretext to revoke his resident status at the UN. They're hindering his ability to report on what's going on at the UN. You can help spread the word of this protest in support of journalist Mathew Russell Lee by using the YouTube tools below. Let's spread this protest to millions of people, because there are people around the world that recognize and value this journalist's reporting. Look at their signs. When they were killed in the thousands, Lee was there to question the UN's silence. Inner city press's questions got UN to drop genocidal commander from advising on peacekeeping. The protesters are demanding that the UN restore full resident correspondent access to ICP, which is Inner City Press, Mathew Russell Lee's media outlet. They're pleading with the UN, don't kill independent journalism. They're saying that they rely on the Inner City Press for the truth. So I'm asking you, please share this video with everyone you can. By signing the petition and sharing this video which promotes that petition, we can get the word out that we stand behind a journalist that does real reporting.
If you're referring to your particular case, as you know, it has nothing to do with whatever questions you may want to ask, whatever leaks you may or may not have received, or emails you regularly
I actually don't know that, but I'll ask it in the form of a question. I don't know it because the very thing we were just discussing, South-South News and funding of the UN Correspondents Association, is what I was covering on January 29th, for which I'm being thrown out. This is the question that I want to ask you, since you say you do speak a lot about freedom of the press, but it seems extraordinary that an attempt to cover a meeting related to an expanding UN corruption scandal can result in the ejection.
You and I have different interpretations. So
and here's the question I want to ask you. You seem to say I'm not asking about an office. Did you hear me say the word office? I said since resident correspondence accreditation status alone gets you through the turnstile on the second floor, so that if you don't have it, you cannot cover meetings in ECOSOC, trusteeship.
Matthew, you have the access that you have.
No, it's not.
We stand for freedom of the press. We accommodate journalists.
This is what people with power do to real journalists. And you can see other journalists acting despicably. Total lack of respect and retaliation. Other journalists have tried to get Mathew Russell Lee kicked out of the UN. Obviously, they resent a real journalist covering stories honestly and exposing corruption of the United Nations Correspondents Association. And they don't like their corruption exposed. The head of that organization approached Mathew Russell Lee and called him an asshole. Listen to this.
I'm telling you that you're an asshole.
But why?
Because
you've tried to throw me out of the UN for 3 years because I said that you're corrupt, and you are. You rented an apartment to the Sri Lankan ambassador, and you screened his film.
So again, please subscribe to Inner City Press and share this video to tell others about Inner City Press and the petition to get Mathew Russell Lee reinstated to full resident status and back to his office space in the UN. You can click here to go to the petition or see a link to it in the video description. And I'll be making more videos about this until the UN restores the full resident correspondent status to him and returns his office space. Also, check out previous videos where I've promoted Mathew Russell Lee and thanked him for his good reporting and gave an example of it. You can see an example right here. And I have another video featuring Mathew Russell Lee, but the reason I'm not talking about that video is because that video was demonetized. And that's part of what's being done to undermine my journalism. So you can sign my petition as well to restore my ability to report on things and get compensated for my efforts. What they've done is YouTube has decided to arbitrarily declare some topics too sensitive for monetization, meaning that independent journalists can no longer earn a revenue from reporting on war and political conflicts. They claim it's too sensitive. Meanwhile, over 100 years of journalism proves that that's absolutely ridiculous. We can see advertisements accompanying reporting on war and political conflicts for over 100 years. And for several years, it was also the case on YouTube, where journalists could earn an income for their work while reporting on war and political conflicts. But apparently someone doesn't respect journalism and has hit upon a great scheme in order to financially sabotage journalists who report on things that the powers that be don't want reported.